Now, if you're a solo founder or building anything, then you're going to want to watch this. I run two companies, a UX bootcamp and a content creation business, and I don't have any employees. I'm going to talk to you about the tools I use both on my computer and on my phone that keep me going every single day. I'm also going to talk to you about the tools that I don't use anymore and why. So let's get into it. Now we're going to start with my thinking and planning apps. Now, if you have been following me for any amount of time, then you know that the first tool I'm probably going to mention is Claude. I use Claude for everything from helping me to come up with new initiatives for my UX bootcamp students, to helping me to finalize copy, whether it's for content or for my UX bootcamp. I also use it to help me finalize pitches that I send off to brands. If you don't already know, Claude has so many different ways that you can work with it. You can train it to actually write like you or sound like you or come up with ideas that would be next for your business. Things that you and Claude have maybe talked about before and they think that it is the next thing that you should be doing and working on. They call it a thinking partner. I call it an assistant. But whatever you want to call it, Claude is my AI of choice. I used to use ChatGPT, and I have another video that I will put up about why I made the switch. But I have been using Claude for probably about 6 months now. I have the pro version, the pro plan, and that's been serving me well. So Claude is my AI of choice. I use it every single day, multiple times a day. And also I use it for just like being around the house if I need help with cooking something or how long, something should be in the oven for. I use Claude for literally everything. A lot of things I still Google. I still use Google. But when I need that thinking partner to kind of help me go a little bit deeper into whatever it is that I'm asking, I'm going to use Claude. Now, the next tool that I use is Notion. Notion actually has two different tools that I like. One is Notion itself. The other is Notion Calendar. I will say, and I've said this before, I do use Notion to basically house all of my documents. I like Notion because it's a lot more robust than the Apple Notes app or any other notes app that I have tried. However, I still don't feel like I'm great at Notion. I think that the usability on Notion can be a little bit better, but for now, that's what I'm using to hold all of my ideas, all of my, roadmaps, content ideas. Literally everything lives in Notion that I need to write out. So maybe I'm taking tips for a new program that is similar to that. However, what I do really love, and I've talked to you guys about this before, is Notion Calendar. Now, Notion Calendar does sync with Notion, but what it does is it allows you to essentially take every single day and essentially book yourself out. So unlike an Outlook or, an Apple Calendar where you have all of your events or, meetings or places you need to be, while you can integrate that as well, and it probably is a good idea too, I use it for structuring out my entire day. So I pretty much just block my entire day with the things that I need to do down to the minute. And one of the things I actually love, my favorite feature of it, actually happens on the desktop. And I will say that's kind of where I am most of the time, is my desktop. But in the toolbar, it will actually tell you the task that you're currently on. So right now it knows that I am creating a YouTube video. I'm filming a YouTube video and I have about 59 minutes left to film this video, do whatever it is that I'm doing. And that is really nice because it keeps me on track. I have something else to do right after this. So that's Notion Calendar. And one of the reasons why I really, really needed something like this was because moving from in a corporate environment where you have a manager and you pretty much come in every single day, you know what your meetings are. You know what it is that you're supposed to be working on. You have a manager where both of you are tracking towards the goals and the things that it is that you need to work on. When you're working by yourself as a solopreneur, you don't have that. And so any opportunity for structure, you should take it. And for me, this is just what works. I'm able to make sure that I'm getting everything done for the day and pretty much everything I need in an app that will keep me structured. Now, next, we're going to get into business operations. Now, like I said, I run a UX bootcamp, which is a course. It's an online course, but I also offer one-on-one coaching for my students. So we're going to get into some of the business operations. Number one, the best course platform, hands down, that I have used is Kajabi. Now, I used to use a tool called Thinkific. And it was fine, but I feel like it was kind of for my earlier days when I was just getting started and needed a platform, didn't really want to spend Kajabi money. I think in the beginning, you're kind of testing out your company, make sure that it's something that's going to work. And then I believe in spending a little bit more money for better tools a little later. Now, Kajabi does a lot of different things. I specifically use it for hosting my course. So my students will log on to Kajabi. They have their own accounts. They'll log on to Kajabi, and that's where they can get anything course related. I know it also does some other things like web hosting and I think email marketing, but I don't use those, at least not yet. And I will say I am glad I held off on this from a business perspective because it just didn't make sense. I wasn't able to justify the price at the very beginning of starting my course 6-7 years ago. But now I think this is my second year using Kajabi and I really, really like it. Now the next is Calendly. Calendly is widely used by, a lot of business owners and people who just need some sort of a booking tool for meetings. You guys have probably heard of Calendly. It's $12 a month, or at least that's what I pay, $12 a month. And that is where I do all of my discovery calls with my students. So they go through the application process. If they make it to a certain point, we'll hop on a call and they book that through Calendly. One of the reasons why I really like Calendly is because not only is it pretty user friendly, but it also allows you to have clarifying questions. So there's a form that people fill out, and I also use that to qualify people as well. Now we'll talk about Google in a minute, but there is something similar that Google does through the Google Meet app or program, but it's not as robust as Calendly. It doesn't allow you to ask as many questions and in the different styles and ways that Calendly allows you to do it. I do pay for Google, so if that is something that they ever embed, which I hope they do, then I won't need Calendly because that's literally all I use it for. So yeah, but as for right now, I love it. Now the next is MailChimp, and this is how I stay connected with my broader audience. So everyone in my current audience or audiences, that's all UX Bootcamp related. So I'm sending nurture emails, welcome emails, all that kind of stuff. I also do a lot of live events for my company, and so I use MailChimp to create those landing pages where people can go and register and find out more about the event. So that's MailChimp. Now, next is payments, how I actually take payments for my bootcamp. There are two different ways that I do this, depending on the scenario. One is PayPal. The other is Kajabi. So not really much to say there. Yes, Kajabi, the same platform that actually hosts my course. They also take payments because remember I said that you can actually set up a website there where people can actually register for your course and everything can be done right there and you can take payments. But I use it as another way to do payment processing. Now, the next thing that I use for my contracts is actually Google Docs. Now, I don't use like a specific contract tool for my contracts. I just edit everything in Google Docs, save it as a PDF, and share that off to my students. And then from there, they can do their own signing and things like that. So pretty simple, not another tool that I need to pay for. So at least right now, I like the lightweight nature of using my contracts or using Google Docs for my contracts. Now, the next tool may not sound like it falls under business and operations, but because I use it for this part of the business, it does, and that's Figma. So anything design related for me as a UX designer, I am not using Canva for like intricate design. I'm using Figma. And I wouldn't even consider these things intricate designs, but any welcome letters for my students when they first join, they get a welcome letter, they get certificates and things like that. All of the assets and material for my company is done in Figma, and that is all done by me or a contractor that I'll hire, but most of the time it's done by me. Now, the next category is communications, and this is how I stay in contact with my students. The first is going to be Slack. This is how I communicate with every single UX bootcamp student that I have. We communicate via Slack, just like some of you, I'm sure you use Slack at work or you use it for your own business. It's a very easy tool to get to know, to use. I do pay for it. I think you pay per seat. So however many students I have that are enrolled in the course at that time, that is how I pay for it. It's not too bad. But also I feel like it is the premier communication tool. And also it's just the tool that everybody uses. So I really enjoy it. Now, the next tool that I use tends to shock people. I don't know why, but for my calls, for any, virtual calls, web calls, I don't know what you call them because we just typically use the company name. I use Google Meet. A lot of people use Zoom. A lot of people use WebEx. I use Google Meet. And the reason why I use Google Meet is because Google Meet is not expensive. I pay $9.99 a month for Google Meet. And it's not just Google Meet, but it's the Google Suite. Like you get all the different perks and things like that, which is also nice because I do use those for other things. But yeah, I use Google Meet and it does everything that I need it to do. And it's cheaper than something like a Zoom. I know Zoom is, more robust. It definitely has more features. It definitely is, the tool that more people have on their phone. So a lot of times people will have to download Google Meet for us to get on a call or whatever. But when you are a solopreneur and when you are doing things yourself, you have to make sure that you are very intentional about what you spend money on. And for me, justifying spending, I don't even know what it is to pay for Zoom at this point. It just doesn't make sense for me. Now, maybe at some point I will if I feel that that's needed. And there are some things that Google Meet just can't handle in the way that I would want it to be handled. Like when I do my virtual lives for UX and I have a bunch of people, I may have 200 people in these virtual rooms. I typically will do a Zoom, and you can do like a one-time Zoom and things like that where you can have all the access to all the features and, all the things that you need, because I think that for something like that, Zoom is just a better platform than something like a Google Meet. But for my everyday needs, student calls, I need to set up a meeting with someone, I'm using Google Meet every single time. Now, for content creation, there are several different programs that I use for different reasons. The number one, when it comes to editing, I use Final Cut Pro. Final Cut Pro every single time. I have been using Final Cut Pro 10 for forever. It's just where I'm comfortable. Now, obviously, Final Cut Pro does not exist. Does it exist on the phone? I don't know. I know it exists on the iPad, but when I'm on my phone and I'm just like need to edit something really quickly, I'm using CapCut. So I do pay for CapCut. I think I pay yearly, and I actually need to decide if I'm going to continue it, because the one thing I love about Final Cut Pro is that it's a one-time payment. So you pay and then you have access to it for life. CapCut has bought into the subscription model, and I'm really, really trying to get away from subscriptions. So we'll see. It is handy to have that on the go. I don't know yet. But I do use CapCut. I also have CapCut on my desktop just because I wanted to kind of check it out. But to be completely honest with you, I get so frustrated when I'm using it on my desktop because I think I'm just so used to Final Cut and the way that Final Cut works and the way that it flows and how efficient it is of a tool, that anything else to me, well, I don't want to say anything else, but CapCut to me on the desktop just doesn't cut it. Now, the next tool that I do use is Canva. Canva I use specifically for my YouTube thumbnails. And the reason why I use this over something like a Figma is because I have been using Canva for my thumbnails for so long. I have everything already set up, if that makes sense. Like everything is already set up. There's a look and feel. There are fonts that I can grab. They already have the shadows and like everything's already done. It's very easy to do, background removals or whatever it is that I need. And so I'm using Canva for my thumbnails. And that's the entire stack. So let me know what questions you guys have. If you are just starting on your founder journey or your content creation journey or whatever it is that you're doing and you find yourself needing some of these tools, let me know what questions you guys have. I can go in depth and answer your questions in the comments or even do a follow-up video. So let me know what questions you have. Let me know what comments you guys have, and I will see you guys in the next video.